Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Political news today, the day before Super Tuesday. That's the day that I am recording this. Tomorrow will be Super Tuesday. There have been some late-breaking developments that you already know about by now because I'm recording this the day before you're seeing it, but I'm going to discuss them anyway. But before that, another piece of late-breaking news, as of today anyways, that just came over the internet. Does everybody, well, maybe everybody doesn't. There's a legal advocacy group, or no, that's not right, a legal watchdog group, a conservative legal watchdog group called Judicial Watch. They make FOIA, Freedom of Information Act requests to hold liberals accountable, including Hillary Clinton. You remember the whole email flap about Hillary putting her State Department emails on her private server, it being investigated. Well, I'll put that in quotes, investigated, not really investigated. In fact, if you remember, there was a big after-the-fact flap that the FBI wanted to call the looking into of the emails and being put on the private server as an investigation. And the Attorney General at that time, Loretta Lynch, pressured the FBI into calling it an inquiry because investigation means possible criminal activity. As the Democratic National Committee had been doing, also it looks like the Attorney General was trying to weight the run-up to the election in favor of Hillary. Wanted to help Hillary Clinton get elected by burying news about Hillary Clinton. But this watchdog group, Judicial Watch, they have been on the case ever since, trying to get Hillary Clinton to testify about the emails. She had answered some questions with written answers, but Judicial Watch went to court. Well, look at this headline. Federal judge orders Hillary Clinton deposition to address private emails. Quote, still more to learn, unquote. A federal judge Monday granted a request from conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch to have former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton sit for a sworn deposition. In other words, she will be under oath to answer questions about her use of a private email server to conduct government business. Clinton has argued that she has already answered questions about this and should not have to do so again. The matter did not result in any charges for the then presidential candidate in 2016 after a high-profile investigation, but D.C. District Court Judge Royce C. Lamberth said in his ruling that her past responses left much to be desired. Quote, as extensive as the existing record is, it does not sufficiently explain Secretary Clinton's state of mind when she decided it would be an acceptable practice to set up and use a private server to conduct State Department business, unquote, Lamberth said. The judge went on to recognize that while Clinton responded to written questions in a separate case, quote, those responses were either incomplete, unhelpful, or cursory at best. Simply put, her responses left many more questions than answers, unquote. Lamberth said that using written questions this time, quote, will only muddle any understanding of Secretary's state of mind and fail to capture the full picture, this delaying the final disposition of this case even further, unquote. Lamberth even gave some examples of lingering questions about Clinton's emails, such as, how did she come to believe that her private emails would be preserved under normal State Department processes? Who told her this and when? At what point did she learn Department records management officials did not know about the server? Quote, and why did she think that using a private server to conduct State Department business was permissible under the law in the first place? Unquote. I'm especially looking forward to the answer to that one. Judicial Watch, which initiated this case in 2014, is looking for information regarding whether Clinton used her private email server to intentionally get around the Freedom of Information Act, whether the State Department acted in bad faith when they tried to settle this case years ago, and whether the department had adequately looked for records in response to Judicial Watch's initial FOIA request, FOIA, F-O-I-I, Freedom of Information Act. Lamberth, this is really good. Lamberth also granted Judicial Watch's request to depose former Chief of Staff Cheryl Mills, IT specialist Paul Kambata, who was involved in deleting Clinton's emails, as well as Brett Gittleson and Yvette Jacks, who were State Department officials familiar with Clinton's private email server. I personally believe, we'll find out after all of these sworn depositions, I believe that Clinton put those State Department emails on a private server to avoid FOIA requests. There is no doubt in my mind she wanted to get around the Freedom of Information Act. We'll see what happens, but she is going to have to testify under oath. The judge also mentioned, I'm not going to put up a quote from it, but I urge you to read the entire article, to which I linked in the description. He noted the number of times that she simply said that I don't remember, quote, I don't remember, unquote. That's one of the reasons why the judge is ordering her to testify personally under oath and not submit written questions, so that the Judicial Watch attorneys can follow up with additional questions. And this is important, I'm also not going to put up a quote, but it's in the article. Judicial Watch can, while Clinton is there under oath, produce documents to refresh her memory. Whenever she says, I don't remember, they can hopefully produce a document to refresh her memory. And even if she says she doesn't remember, there is a document she's going to have to answer. Not just her, but Cheryl Mills, her close confidant. She can be forced to testify in this deposition. As I've said in past vlogs, when things like this have come up, stay tuned. I certainly will be, and I will keep you up to date on any new developments on this story. Now on to the main subject, which is Super Tuesday and the developments that have happened in the last 24 hours and even in the last few hours. It looks like the fix is in, or continues to be in, to stop Bernie Sanders, because you have, as I'm recording this, Pete Buttigieg dropped out of the race, Steyer dropped out days ago, and now Amy Klobuchar has dropped out suddenly before Super Tuesday. They should have dropped out before. They would have had to drop out eventually because they are doing so badly, but the timing is very interesting and hardly coincidental, especially when you know that Buttigieg and Klobuchar both intend to endorse Bernie Sanders. They're obviously hoping, in my opinion, that their recommendation of Joe Biden will get their supporters to vote for Joe Biden to, number one, get him more delegates to help him fight Bernie Sanders and hopefully get the nomination. But also, had they stayed in the race, it increases the chance that none of the candidates except Bernie Sanders would get the necessary 15% of the vote to get any delegates at all. So had they stayed in the race, there was the possibility that Sanders would get all the delegates, because Biden, because of the presence of these other candidates, Biden would not reach that 15% 50% threshold. Now it'll be interesting to see what happens. I still expect Sanders to walk away from Super Tuesday with most of the delegates, but I also see an increased chance of a brokered convention where these superdelegates will be able to step in if Sanders does not have enough delegates to win outright, to get the nomination outright. Then the wheeling and dealing begins, and I think the fix will be in that it will go to, well, probably Biden. Bloomberg has said that he will stay in till, quote, the bitter end, unquote. He is going to stay in the race all the way to the convention, and he has the money, obviously, to stay in. He's going to try to get the nomination at the convention. We'll have to see what happens. And if Sanders has the most delegates but does not get the nomination, then there is the very good possibility that the Sanders supporters will stay home. I even see a possibility that I mentioned in an earlier vlog that you could even see a riot outside the convention, if not inside the convention itself. Wouldn't that be something to see Sanders supporters throwing chairs around? So, as I just said about Hillary Clinton, we'll have to stay tuned. It looks like, at least on the Democratic side, a very interesting primary season and nomination process. That's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. As always, thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? You can put them in the comments section below the video. You can also put questions there if you have any questions or suggestions for future topics. I would love for more of you to subscribe. So subscribe, and finally come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.